And we're live. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Another adventure from the car. We're going live from the car. Homeless as it always is. From the car. Kind of shows you what homeless life is. And, I've been listening to...
We are there for our patients, and Congress and lawmakers should be there for us. And all we are asking is provide us with the optimum personal protective equipment.
And why aren't
we
they?
will do our jobs just like what we do
Why
now.
aren't they? What?
Do it safely.
They knew
with
this was
love and
coming.
care.
I read a book in 70 called The Planned Pandemic.
National Nurses United.
Are going on and on about things like this. So, guess who sent me this message? Guess who sent me this message? I won't tell you who sent me this message. You tell me. Here we go. I'm worried for you. I'm worried by you. I think you are drinking way too much coffee. You need to try do more exercise. Think it has your brain in a psycho mode. Please, I'm worried about you. You were like I was some reason back, like last summer, but worse. And how I've seen this person in over a year and a half, but they're judging. You look 20 years younger. Yeah, this is true. I'm doing that. And almost down to 180 pounds. I'm just about 200. And here's what he wrote today. I'm afraid of you now. I think you became a more mean person. You are kind of frightening to me, like way you sound, following all the rules technically, but almost like those big, mean businessmen. You said you were against all that. And my dad's going to not want you to be here. I'm getting another loan from him. Oh, he's paying all my bills. I think now is bad timing, but maybe later, like you need some. You appear to be better health than you really are. I'm scared of you. Your physical activity is making you look strong, and that makes me scared of you. And then I responded, what did I say? I can't read this thing. I guess I wanted to be with you. You're my friend. I want to see how you're doing. Have some fun. Let's do something. This is the time to hit the road. It is. It's not the time to hide in the basement. It's time to hit the road. See what people are up to. It said that you would judge me so harshly. You haven't even been around me for 2 years. And if you were still being manipulated by your parents, so I'm as socially isolated as you could ever think of getting. Really. And yet, in April, I was at the supermarket and in a college town, and I bumped into this very nice woman. She's in her late 20s, early 30s. She's a PhD. She's a scientist, and she's at this university. She's kind of like what I was, a traveling scholar, and she was doing research for this entity at this other university, right? And she was still teaching a little to make money on the side. And then the corona thing hit, and they closed the school down. she stuck around another month to finish her contract with what she was doing research on. And we hung out for that month. And she came out to the deep green. And she was black as the night, as day is long, being in the country. And your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try. Okay. And anyway, long story short, we had a very nice 1 month thing, right? And then she finished her job and she went back to Hawaii, where she's from. But she wasn't used to camping. I said, "You're from Hawaii. That's the most beautiful place. You never came." So, no, I live in a, you know. Anyway, so now I have somebody in Hawaii to go visit. And, I wasn't looking for anybody or anything or sex or nothing. I was just in the supermarket and I came out and she had, gone in there and she had 3 bottles of maple syrup. And I looked at her and I said, maple syrup isn't just for pancakes. And that started off our conversation, right? And we started talking about this and that and everything. And then she told, mostly I said, "So what are you doing here?" Because the school she was in is pretty much a white school. And she said, "Well, I'm a, ex kind of, I was sent here to, do the work." And I said, "Oh, well, that's great. And I'm that kind of scientist too." "Oh, you are?" And I just happen to have one of my white papers in my car. I dug around in the car and she's like looking, she goes, "Your car is exactly what a homeless guy's car looks like." I said, "I know, because I'm one of those." And I pulled this paper out and I handed it to her. And she actually read all 15 pages in the, parking lot. We walked over to her car and we pulled both our cars underneath the trees so we wouldn't get barbecued by the sun. And we sat in her car. Even during, social distancing, we left the doors open. And, she read the paper, said, "Well, this is pretty amazing." I said, "Yeah." And I read that paper to you guys, go back about a month. And it's a thing I was reading from. And so now I have a social scientist slash, physical scientist that I can bring into the mix for my new nonprofit I want to start, and take the show on the road. And I said, "Hey, I want to take the show on the road." She goes, "I'll help you." So this all came from walking into the supermarket, coming out and noticing a pretty black woman. And this woman was so black, you almost couldn't tell, very black woman, right? Very African woman, and she had her hair pulled back and she had this nice, as a Muslim scarf covering her hair. Anyway, it wasn't until I sat in a car and could see sideways that this woman was amazingly attractive. But she was so dark in the bright sunlight, black just absorbed, you couldn't see anything. But in the, shade of the trees, you could, so she was quite attractive. Anyway, so we had a nice, almost 2 month little affair, to remember. Now I have a good buddy who lives in Hawaii that I can go visit, and that's what, even during social, and I live out in the middle, I have to travel 40 miles. I had to travel 50 miles to go to that supermarket, but they had watermelon on sale, and really gigantic ones, like, 15-pound watermelons for $2 a piece. You couldn't beat it. And they had a few other things on sale. So anyway, and if I whip about maple syrup, and then we talked about interesting social things. That's what she was. And then, I, let her do most of the talking for the first hour. And we spent 4 hours talking in that parking lot, right? And then it was, getting towards around 4 o'clock. And I said, I have to drive back to my place because, I turn into a pumpkin once it gets a little dark. I can't see. And Twitchy, how you doing, buddy? And I said, "So what are you doing now till," because it was Friday, "until, Sunday?" And she goes, "Well, I was gonna," I said, "But you can go to the library anytime. How about, getting in your car and bringing your maple syrup with you, and I'll cook you dinner and and show you, the deep green. And this girl, I'd only talked to her for 4 hours, white, crazy, old guy. She's, like I said, somewhere between 28 and 30, and from her experience level, too. So she I said, sure. And we drove the 50 miles to my deep green, and she pulled in there. And I cooked her I had some salmon that I just bought on sale. Whole big friggin' salmon for $5. So I made it and I had a pineapple. I sliced it up and I made a pineapple moe. And she said, that's just like my grandma makes, because she's part Hawaiian. And so we had a really great time. And I had a few bottles of wine, and we just had the best of times, right? Now, I wasn't thinking about sex. I wasn't thinking about a girlfriend. I wasn't thinking about anything except buying those watermelons and seeing what else was on sale. And and I saw this woman. She had 3 things of maple syrup, and I made a quip. And she laughed rather than taking offense. And then we started talking about stuff. School here, what are you doing? Da 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 da. And she said, "Oh no, have my PhD. I got my PhD about 2 years ago, and I'm doing social research of Klan orientation." I said, "What kind of Klan? Ku Klux Klan?" She goes, "Oh no, more deeper than that." And she was looking at bloodlines of Appalachian people, and she's from Hawaii, right? And she's trying to make a connection between indigenous people. And she had spent time in Australia. That's where she got her PhD. And she had lived with the Aborigines. And I pulled out the books of all the pictures of me with the Aborigines. I mean, that's really kind of what, set the thing. And then I gave her a paper I wrote about community organizing. And she was like, whoa, right? So that's what life is about. Not sticking yourself, oh, I'm scared of the virus, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's true. It's real. It's out. This is my mask, this is the mask I wear, because in certain towns, you have to wear a mask. They actually get in your face if you don't wear a mask. So this is the mask I wear. And, I walked in, and, in this one town, it's a very bourgeois white town in North Carolina, which is, almost as close as this is to me. Anyway, but that town, I have some friends, and there's a bar, and there's a few other places I used to go all the time. And I don't anymore, but I do see my friends, and they have a couple of stores there that are pretty good, that have stuff on sale. And when they do, that's really pretty good. So, so this is my mask. So anyway, I was at this one, Walmart's, and they had cops at the thing. They had just passed a thing that if you're not wearing this, it's a misdemeanor. And I heard about it, so I walked in with this. The cop looked at me, and he said, "Man, that is so cool." And I was also wearing my American hat back there. And we started talking about everything. And the cops, basically spent a half an hour with me talking, and about 50 people walked by without masks, And I was, so what is this, and the guys look around, and they like turn off the radios, and they go, they're just doing this to make money because it's $1,000. So this town is losing money because, the rest of their tax thing went, right? And that's what's going to happen with 90% of municipalities in the United States. They're going to go bankrupt. And, one of the things they're making, we have to get rid of the police force, where the powers that be, or shouldn't be, are really going for that because they don't want to give the cities any money to pay for these things. They don't care anymore. So anyway, that's just, I saw that I had a signal, so I wanted to touch base. And I'm so glad, Twitchy, that you jumped on. I love you, and I love everyone. And I'm going to keep going because I'm on the move. And I feel sorry for my friend, you know, and he's totally isolated. I mean, he's been isolated up there at the school. You know, he bought the place from me 15, so 5 years he has been basically socially without any kind of contact. And since he threw me out 2 years ago, yeah, you know, and I've gone back to try and visit him 3 different times, and each time he couldn't stand me there. You know, the first time, you know, 2 hours went by, and he said, "You gotta go," and he begged me to come and do YouTubes with him. Right, then again, and again, and it's really sad. But as I say, he's the canary in the coal mine. You know, and you know he isn't the outlier. He is. I mean, he's like my sisters. He's like my brother. They're all letting this thing really affect. I talked to my brother the other day, and he's like, you know, losing it about this. You know, he thinks the black people are going to uprise and have a rebellion. You know, really? No, I don't think so. So, um, it's all for the good. Things are better and better. It's what you do with your life. It's what you do with your life, you know? It's how you, it's your intent. It's like, so my brother, you know, he basically in January, just before all the hospitals went nuts over of the 19 thing, he had one of his knees replaced and some, uh, you know, stuff done on his, you know, backbone there. I mean, serious operations, you know, first brain surgery, then heart surgery, then this stuff. I mean, um, and he didn't need any of this. You know, all he needed, I mean, he was like me. He was like, you know, I don't know how many pounds overweight. I was like 200 pounds overweight, but, you know, he was getting, last time I saw him, he was a big boy. So every pound you have on your body is 5 pounds on your knees. So all I used to do is like lose some weight. And I'm in a position of living out in the middle of the national forest. So 50 miles, you know, to the closest cheeseburger joint. So, you know, I basically am eating dandelion and burdock and other things and beans and rice and that's about it. And carrots, you know, things that will stick around. Onions, and I've you know, in about a month I'll be eating stuff out of my garden. Everything's come up and it's growing pretty great, and everybody's happy, and the exercise to do it was really good, and so that's the thing, is that with all, whatever comes your way is always an opportunity for a positive outcome. But if you're you know, what you think comes out of your mouth, that manifests actions that give you outcomes. So if you think good thoughts and good words come out of your mouth, you'll have good actions and good outcomes. And that's what I have in my life all the freaking time. You know, I live like a millionaire, you know. I don't have a nickel, but I live like a millionaire. So that's what you guys have to do, you know. Don't worry about money, you know. And that was the other thing my friend said. I wrote him a thing saying, "Hey, why don't we hit the road? Why don't we have a good time? Why don't we go see the world?" You know, and basically his response was, all in caps, "I have to work to make money. You just whatever the frack you feel like." No, I'm in service to love's co-creation. I don't do whatever I feel like. I do what love, you know, asks of me, you know. So I feel sorry for John. You know, I basically said, I would. This is what he responded to. I'd love to stay with you for just a few days, talk to you, see how you're doing. You know, that you can know what's going on with me, and there's no way that I can know what's going on with you unless I spend some time with you. I just want to have a good time. You know. It's kind of, let's see, Right, and I watch his, periodically. I have no access to the internet. I have to, stop by a truck stop to pick up the flowing, you know, Wi-Fi, and I'm just responding to what I can see, and really the stuff he does is always the same stuff, always the same stuff.
Tried it's vegan. It's from a plant. It doesn't have any animal products in it. It doesn't have bodily fluid squeezed out of its ass.
And like I said, he is the canary in the coal mine. That's what a good portion of the American population, the American psyche, the American cultural dynamic is that. When a guy in Sweden, Platypus, he gets more hits on his YouTube than anybody in the world, right? And all he talks about is his toenail polish and just nutty stuff. He has no opinion about anything going on in the world, right? It's all about mass consumption. Yeah. Oh, look at the new socks I got. Oh, look at my new haircut. Oh, and he's making $1 million or $2 million a year off of that, and that's the level of our cultural input. No poetry, no Shakespeare. So, what I want to do is take culture. I want to, I keep talking all to materialism, right? And that's where I want to go with this. Anyway, my live chat has crashed, and I keep getting interrupted. I am out in the parking lot here, so I'm going to say arrivederci, and I'll try tomorrow. I'll find a more stable Wi-Fi zone. Okay. I love you guys, and I can't see. Oh, there's the cursor. There we go.